Hey guys, and welcome to my Deckard Cain video. He's been out for a couple of days now, and I played a couple of quick matches with him. I played him to level 5, and I'm actually pretty happy with him. He's fun to play, I want to say. He's not the strongest hero coming out with the new releases. He's landed on a 46% win rate. He actually climbed quite a bit. He was at 41% or something at the beginning of his appearance, so he has already been improving, and he's been playing, has been played quite a bit. His popularity is in line with some other heroes that you would consider meta. Obviously, he's the new thing, so people definitely want to try him out. But as you can see, he's in the top 10 from the bottom, so his win rate is pretty low. And even if we go into Masters, as you can see, even in Masters for the healers, he's still at 47% and in the bottom tier of those healers. I think people haven't figured out his skill build yet, and some people said he has a very good skill build. I personally don't think there's too many talents that you can use oftentimes, but there's definitely some variety in it. So on level 1, you can see that Scroll of Identify is picked the most. I personally like Sapphire actually quite a bit because you can increase the slow of his W quite significantly, which makes it easier to hit your Scroll of Sealing, but it also helps to enable people to follow up on your CC. So if you can slow somebody very heavily, obviously landing a stun or a root, for example, as well, is more easy. On 4 and 7, you can see that the win rates are pretty close here on 2 talents, and 1 is a little bit more off. Ruby seems to be popular, but doesn't get a lot of wins. This is when you hit Heroic Group W on a hero, they will spawn lesser potions. And you would think that this would actually help people dive, but I guess it's not very popular. Because it's not doesn't have a very high win rate, so we have to see if it actually just is biased because nobody's playing it. And then Potion of Shielding and Potion or Rejuvenation Potion is pretty close in win rate, and it shows that if you take these, your win rate will be higher. And if we go through it, because I don't want to go through the tans here on Hot Socks, as the description is a little bit shorter than you would wish, you can see that his win rate in the early games until like level 13, all is below 50%, which means his early game is probably not as strong as it can be, or it could be. And then from level 16 on, he gets actually much better. I think this is in large because his healing gets better from 13 on. And if you get into late game, he can set up much better as well, especially with safety in number, for example. It can allow you to set up more easily and more quickly. But I think overall, he definitely has end game potential where you can just like finish a game very strong if you use your heals properly and set up everything. Let's have a quick look at the map statistics for him, because that's what I was looking before I started the video. So I thought he would be very good on maps that let him set up things. So for example, I thought that, Cursed Hollow, for example, is a good map for him because he can set up his heal potions before the tribute spawns. But actually, he's just in the middle of the pack. It's one of his stronger maps in terms of win rate. And obviously, the amount of games played is not that high, but even if we exclude Masters and to say we want to have everybody, his win rate actually goes down. So, and he doesn't get played as much. But you can see it's still like, close to 50%, and everybody except like Lily, who's in some weird support top position, I guess, at the moment. Everybody's around 50%. But even Cursed Hollow, like, he doesn't seem to be doing so well. And I will show you a Towers of Doom match that I had. And even here, he doesn't look super strong. He actually is the last on the supports. And that's, for me, is weird because his rotation definitely isn't the strongest. So on maps like Dragonshire, I expected him to be very weak. That's where most of the healers suffer quite a bit. If you look at Dragonshire, you can see that a lot of the healers that I like Snukov, Lucio, all don't do very well because the rotations are very critical at the beginning, and you don't have that much reliable CC. And Deckard doesn't have that much reliable CC if the rotations are quick. And that's what's happening a lot. Like, you can't really set up the rotation. You have to oftentimes react to whatever the enemy is doing, and so he definitely suffers there as well. But for me, it's very interesting to see that he doesn't feel super strong on those setup maps. Let's jump into this. This is a quick match again. Obviously, I haven't played him in unranked or Hero League yet, but I thought this game was very interesting because Towers of Doom, I think, shows exactly why he could be good and what he can do. So if you haven't seen Deckard or you live on a rock, his basic abilities basically is well, basically in basic abilities, great. So his Q is healing potion. You can put one healing potion down, and then it just stays there until it gets picked up. If you hit an ally hero with it immediately, he gets healed and the potion gets consumed. And as you can see, you can have 5 potions active throughout the game, so they don't disappear when you put 2 down. But if you put the 6th down, the first one will be removed. His W is Hereditary Group Cube. You throw out a cube and it explodes after a short delay and slows everybody. And then his E is Scroll of Sealing. It basically is a root that builds up, and we're going to see it in a second anyway, so I don't have to describe it that much. So this is the first thing that you should be doing with Deckard, I think. Putting down potions as much as possible around your team. I'm rotating down here because we're already losing XP to Gazlo top, but this was just his E here, the triangle. Deckard is not a very good wave clearer. Like, you should never leave him alone, I think. He pretty much has no damage outside of his 2 spells, and his auto attack does like nearly nothing, so you shouldn't be trying to wave clear. You can see the radius around me. This is my trait, Fortitude of the Faithful. If you're sticking with an enemy, with an ally hero, your cooldowns are reduced faster, and you also get 10 armor by sticking with your teammates. And this is important because you don't have that much health, 1,700 health at the beginning. He's not super squishy, but he definitely benefits from the armor, so you should try to stick with your teammates as much as you can, especially also because it reduces your cooldown so heavily. So this is from what I think is important and what not a lot of Deckards do from what I've seen in other games where I wasn't the Deckard. The mana potion doesn't cost that much, the healing potion doesn't cost that much mana. It's 20 mana, so you have, enough to spam. You can spam like 20 or 30 of them if you only use them. So you should try to set up as much as possible. I don't do that here either. Like, I should be putting down potions. There you go. And this is the combo that you want to do. I'm just going to finish the thought. So the potion, you should be putting potions down on the ground wherever you are. Because again, you can have 5 active at the same time. So if you then rotate somewhere else, sure, you might be removing a potion from somebody who just wanted to take it, but that's life. You can't influence everything, but you should be spreading potions around you and around where your allies should be walking or will be walking as much as possible. And this is the combi with Sapphire. I think it's very easy to pull it off with Sapphire because the slow is so heavy. It's like I think 50%, even 55%. Actually, no, it's actually 60% slow. It makes it much easier to hit Scroll of Sealing, so you should try to use Sapphire and then use your W and E in quick succession. You were able to see that you can hit allies with your potions right away, or like this, you don't hit them and then you're in an awkward position. Let's have a look at talents real quick. So again, level 1. Swerve Identify is what people take most of the time. I do think it has value. It's very strong if you can finish it early. Like 15 armor debuff early can be critical to your damage dealers. They can more easily kill people, and obviously also puts pressure on the enemy healer because somebody has low armor. Field Study, honestly, I personally don't think this is very, very good. So my thinking is that you get 15% more spell power for 14 seconds and up to 30%. So if you hit two enemy heroes, you get 30% more spell power for 14 seconds. Scroll of Sealing has 16-second cooldown. So sure, if you stay with an ally, this can be down further. So you could theoretically keep this up if you can chain it. But Scroll of Sealing also costs 40 mana, and you normally have to hit Heroic Group Cube with it. So you're spending 80 mana just to keep that buff up. It increases your healing as well. Spell power also increases healing. So this is really good. But I personally think whenever you have to use an ability to get a buff, you normally want to spend that buff and use the ability as often as you can to get the buff again. And I think Scroll of Sealing is normally used to set up a CC or a kill. And you don't want to spam it just to get the buff. So I kind of feel like I don't want to use it that much because I want to use it in critical situations and not necessarily use it just to get the buff. So if you don't, play for getting the spell power, you basically don't have a level 1 talent. So that's my thinking of it. That's why I don't like Field Study that much. And Sapphire I think is great. Like 30-second cooldown, 25% more slow. It's super strong, and it's very easy to hit the Horadic cube on somebody. So level 4, I think all of them are good. Again, Ruby has a very low win rate at the moment. The shielding, it's 6 seconds shielding, but like the shield is so small that you normally just use it to prevent more damage. But I think that's fair. The cool thing though is that if you are able to set up a couple of potions and your allies are damaged, they have a shield on top of it. So for example, if you want to fight around one of those towers and you set up a couple of fields and your allies run into that, and then there's a fight breaking out, that's the perfect timing because they just got healed up to full and they have a shield and they basically have a higher HP pool from that. Rejuvenation potion, it's currently bugged, so it gives more than just mana. It also gives energy and ammo and whatever else. But this will be fixed soon, from what I hear. But basically, you give mana to everybody who uses it, the potion, which is really good, and it just helps your spellcasters a lot. And 10 mana doesn't sound like super much, but it's just an added benefit. You also get a little hot of 126 HP. So I personally like this quite a bit. But again, I think Ruby is also good. I played it a couple of times. And with the diving composition like we have, I probably should have taken Ruby, but I was just trying out things. So you can see again, I hit the Nova with a potion. I had to hit the Butcher with a potion. And that's something that is going to be an issue for Deckard Cain. Hitting the potions on the people is mandatory. Like, you need to be very good at that, because otherwise people will just have issues getting them. Because if you put them in awkward positions, it's very, very difficult to actually get it. Because you literally just like have to walk like into danger or something. So as you can see, Deckard's Interrupt is pretty powerful. The range on Cube and Scroll are very high, but as you can also see that if you use them quite significantly, you get out of mana very quickly. I'm fighting the Genji here because I'm not super worried about him. With the armor, I'm pretty tanky. So he doesn't do that much damage to me at the beginning with the armor. So I'm not too worried to face him one-on-one. Just scouting with the cube, and as you can see, like here again, I'm now fighting him without an ally, and that's a little bit of an issue, but I just posture with him by using my scroll. I should have been setting up potions. Like, you should always spam your potions, in my opinion, as much as you can to set up as much healing as you can. And then this is a little awkward because your range is very, very small. So being able to help your allies with potions over the wall is something that I try to do here, but it's difficult. On 7 I decided to go for another gem. And the reason is just Alex Strasser, basically. So Emerald gives you the chance that your next Horadic cube reduces the healing for 75%, as they have an Alex and she's going to put down her W in an area that I can see. I'm happy to have Emerald help me out with this. I think both Cube Mastery and Kanai's Cube are very good. I think the damage dealt debuff is amazing. Like, it's on level 7, this is really good. And then I think this Cube Mastery helps a lot with field study. So you can definitely play around with this. I personally, again, like the Emerald most against easy to debuff targets like Alex. Important, the potions don't give you any vision, as you can see. They don't give you any vision, so I just put them down in case somebody's walking down here from my team. And now I just put them here, so that whenever somebody walks and does a rotation, I can give a little bit of a pickup. I should probably have used Sapphire here against the Rainer, but he was so high on health, I didn't feel like it was a very good idea to attack him anyway. And you can see the hot afterwards from the level 7, from the level 4 can be pretty powerful. This is something you have to be very careful. Like I just drove over a potion, and I didn't even need the heal. So the heal is very small at the beginning, and if you just roll over your potions with nearly no health missing, that's cool because you got full health. But I guess I missed like 20 health or something.
That seems generous.
And picking up a potion then is really, really bad. Like this. Okay, now I didn't pick it up. Well, that's good for me. We were arguing here. If you're wondering why I'm AFK, somebody was upset about us. There you go. So this is the healing debuff. I think that worked very well here. Unfortunately, I didn't get to heal the Butcher. For some reason, the potion didn't heal him. I probably should have went here and healed Malthael instead of pulling through, because we would have gotten it afterwards anyway. So, and again, this is the thing with if you don't hit the potion right away, it's a little bit awkward if people have to walk like left or right out of their way to get the potion. So you need to be good at hitting them if you want to heal somebody directly, or at least put them into a position where it's easy to walk over them. But yeah, we were arguing, the Nova was arguing that we were spending too much time bottom with the XP. That's why we were semi-AFK. This is pretty good. Like you root the minions as well for a couple of seconds, so you can delay the waves very easily. And again, there's more arguing going on. I just removed the chat because it's not necessary to learn it or to see it, and because there's no reason we were arguing. We were winning so much that we were still angry about something. I don't know why, but that's just how it happened. So now I have Lornado. I think Lornado is much better than Stay a While Listen. Stay a While Listen has a huge range. It's really, really big and puts everybody to sleep. The issue with sleep is sleep gets cancelled by anything that does damage. So we have a Butcher that can use a Q and everybody wakes up. KTZ nearly has only AoE damage. Malthael can accidentally like cleave somebody. So I didn't feel like Stay a While and Listen would be very powerful in this case. And then also Lornado is so good at zoning people that it actually gives you another great tool to interrupt people here on Towers of Doom, and also has just 45-second cooldown, so you can use it every fight basically. I should be standing closer to the Butcher. That's my mistake there. If I stay closer to him, I get reduced cooldown on my potion, and I can just like keep healing him. And I didn't do that. And I struggled with that quite a bit actually with him. The trait of Deckard is actually pretty small radius, so you have to mostly stay with your range assassins, I guess. But it's actually it's definitely difficult to keep it up if you don't pay attention. So you should learn that very early on. So yeah, again, like Lornado I think is very good. 45-second cooldown, you always have it up. It pushes people away, especially on maps where you need to defend things or capture things or something. I think it's really, really strong. Yeah, just try to get the Gazlo be pushed into our wave and get away from the pumpkins, but didn't work out. On the other hand, it really doesn't matter because, first of all, my Butcher's coming in here. And second of all, we don't have a tribute, altar spawning until like a minute or so. So it will be up. I'm not using my gems very efficiently here. I think if I put down the slow more, it would have been easier to hit the seal. So if you use gems, feel free to use them more liberally than I do. But sometimes you just also like want to keep that cooldown for a special moment, and that special moment never comes. So they're on a 30-second cooldown, so you can use them pretty frequently, and they don't cost any mana, so it's not bad to use them. We're pretty far ahead. Let's have a quick look at the level 16 that I'm going to take, but also a quick look at the stats. So I'm at 31,000 healing, double the healing of Alex. I think 31,000 in 11 minutes is average. I think she had a tough game, so not, necessarily comparable. But this is, you can see, like, it's really to the point where you do have the ability to solo heal for sure. Like, there's no arguing about that. Like, I think when the last couple of supports came out, there was a lot of discussion about can they actually solo heal. And I think Deckard definitely is a solo healer. I'm going for safety numbers here. I think it's the strongest talent on 16. The cooldown reduction is just ridiculous. Again, I want to try to use Lornado here in a second as well. Don't get it off, so I don't use it. But the combo helps enough. Skull of Stone Curse, I think you probably want to use this in a situation where you maybe go double support, or you have a Tassadar or something like that, which allows you to do a little bit more damage and focus more on doing damage with your seal. Or if you have a good setup. I think, like, for example, with the Void Prism, this could be super strong as well. Again, safety numbers is just a lot easier to pull off. So you do need to have 3 allies around you, so it's not just like that it helps you in this case where you stand next to somebody. You have to be grouped. But as we fight around towers, or altars, I thought this would help me a lot. And then Heroic Staff, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Like, everybody's talking about the stun and how good it is to have a stun on a basic ability, basically, which is, I mean, his auto attack. But this is, first of all, like, it's every 5 seconds, so it is strong, and 0.75 is, pretty long stun for an auto attack. But you have to go in melee range, and while he's not squishy at all, it's still not great to go into melee range to hit somebody. And then obviously he doesn't interrupt like a mosh pit or something because you get stunned. I do think it has values, especially with the heroes that are in the meta currently, like a Hanzo, Genji, like things that you come into contact in melee range accidentally because they go aggressive. Not necessarily Hanzo, but Hanzo is a good example because, like, I don't know, he gets rooted or something, and you can get close to him, so he can't jump away and stun him after the root ends. But I think, for example, like Phoenix, who likes to go in and chase people, and then he tries to run away, you can slow him with your Heroic Cube, and then when he uses his teleport, you can just like auto attack him. But it's difficult to pull off because auto attack will just always happen if you move somewhere. You have to press hold to tell your character not to attack something. So you will definitely need to play around with this and learn how to use it. And again, I think your healer going melee is probably not the greatest invention of Heroes of the Storm. So I personally probably will not play this a lot unless the pro players show me that this is the way to go, and it's the only way to go. On 13, as I said, his win rate picks up a little bit because his healing is increased. So super healing potion, if the healing potion isn't picked up, it gets bigger and then heals for 75% more. This is, I think, good for setup maps like Volskaya. I feel like this is really good. if you can put 5 potions down, it's great. You just have like 5 super big heals lying around. The revival one is my favorite at the moment on 13. It just gives you AoE healing. It's currently bugged that it also heals minions. That's not supposed to happen. But this is also good for accidental pickups. So, I mean, generally speaking, like if you have the KTC here, who's super low, and the Nova walks over the healing potion instead of him, at least he gets 30% of healing. So I think with random groups, this is really good because it also helps with accidental healing. 30% is not huge because like we only have the only heals for 448. Well, I mean it's 500 health, but so like 150 or something like that heal is not huge. If you look at his health, he has like 3,000 life, so 150 isn't like gonna save him from anything, but it's better than nothing, right? So I think it's okay. Ancient Blessing, I think, is also powerful with auto attackers. It basically gives you heal on auto attacks, but it has an internal cooldown of I think a second or so. I'm not 100% certain. And unfortunately, it doesn't say in the tooltip, but basically for 8 seconds you have a heal on your auto attacks. It I think is only really good with a lot of auto attackers. So if you have like I don't know, Hanzo Tracer, and then maybe a fast attacking warrior like Blaze or so, because like in this case, Nova doesn't auto attack very quickly, KTZ doesn't auto attack very quickly, Malthael is okay but doesn't super auto attack quickly. Butch definitely would benefit from that, but you yourself, for example, I think it's not huge. Obviously, because it's AoE damage, it can be useful for slow auto attackers because normally they do more damage with one auto attack. But I guess, but again, like I think like Tracer and Hanzo and maybe even Genji, we have like quick succession auto attacks. Even if there's an internal cooldown on the talent, makes it good because you just have splash damage and splash heal. So it's good, but only if you have the setup for it. I think Potion of Revival is definitely the go-to talent on 13. Okay, let's move on. This is also really cool. Your Cube and your E allow you to dismount a lot of people as well. And dismounting is huge in a lot of situations where you interrupt rotations or stop somebody from ganking. Like a Diablo always wants to ride in as much as possible to get in range. And if you can interrupt that, that's really good. You can see how difficult it is to have 3 heroes around you. So I think on this map, I probably didn't do myself a favor with picking the level 16 talent. But on the other hand, like when it happens, like when you let's go back because that's the perfect situation why the Deckard will, I think, always struggle a little bit with people that have not the highest skill, highest mechanical skill. So I miss him with the potion, and then he just doesn't walk up. Like if he walks up, he basically gets 500. Let's unpause it so we can see. Okay, and we don't see. Let's go jump back one more time. I want to show you because it's definitely something that you need to learn with Deckard. So we're on Malthael now. He's getting attacked. He eats a blizzard, and then he jumps into the second blizzard, which is obviously a problem. So now he is at like 1000 health. He gets lasered, and then he doesn't pick up the potion because he doesn't see it, and that's something that it's going to happen to a lot of people. The potions are very small, and in the heat of the battle, it can be difficult to see them. And again, I'm not doing a huge job here on setting up my potions. I should be putting down one here. Like for example, I should just put one down here. I shouldn't just channel it. I should put one potion down and then channel it. Your potion should normally be always on cooldown. Unless you're team fighting, obviously. Then you should be trying to aiming it towards a teammate or something like that. Again, the wave clear is pretty ass, so if you're asked to do something like this, to do wave clearing, you can do a super mediocre job, but you have to use all of your spells. Like you can see the auto attacks are slow and don't do a lot of damage. Like these are the range minions and I need like 4 or 5 hits to kill them. So yeah, setting up potions is what you need to do. Like I should be, again, just putting down potions. Again, I missed the potion here. I then pick it up in the hopes that I can maybe get the splash heal on the KTZ. Again, missed the potion. And then I just died. Sorry, and then the butcher just dies. I don't die. This is something that you can also, like, you have to learn as well. If you don't use it on other heroes, that's going to be huge for Deckard. So there's a modifier for self-casting in Heroes of the Storm. For me, it's Alt. So if I press Alt and Q, the potion will land directly on me. This means that it gets triggered instantly, so it doesn't have any travel, like it doesn't fly anywhere. So in this case, because I wasn't able to safely hit the Nova, I just Alt-Q'd, I think, there to make sure that I can heal him a little bit. And this is something that obviously I expected him to walk away. Like I didn't think he would go in again. So I put the potion in a bad position for him because he just jumped back into the Gazlo and therefore died. So yeah, I think the main problem that you will have with Deckard, if you don't use Alt and Q, you're gonna need self-healing, and you will have to walk over a potion, which normally is not very good. So you should be just, you know, be aware that you can heal yourself by Alt Qing. And this is like, on one hand I'm like out of position, on the other hand we're level 20 and I have 2 of my strongest DPS here. So I didn't want to run away that heavily. But yeah, this is actually a very good picture. Like these like 4 potions here, this is exactly, or 5 potions actually, are what you want to do with Deckard. You want to put as many potions down as possible. And here you see level 20 talent already. Bottomless flask, basically after 5 seconds, the flasks are recharging. So you get a full heal off after 5 seconds again. This is super good because you can, again, set up everything with potions. You can have 5 potions on the floor, and then once they're used, they just refill in 5 seconds. So if you have a good spread of them, this will be huge on maps like Volskaya, where people can walk over it over and over again. And it also helps with self-healing, basically, because you Alt Q, and then there's a flask below you. So if you get rooted or something, and you do survive for 5 seconds, there's like potentially like 2 heals or 3 heals even right away on you, because you spawn a couple of potions below you if you Alt Q again and again. I think both heroic upgrades are good. Seiwa and Listen is considered to be super broken because after 2 seconds, when it breaks, it still blinds and silences people, so they can't attack at all. They don't do any damage to you, basically, because they can't use their spells, and their auto attacks miss for 2 seconds. This is super strong. Again, I personally don't think that the sleep is very good because it can just be interrupted so easily. But there you go. And then more Nados. I played this in another game. This is hilarious because if you hit like 2 or 3 enemies with Lonado, it doesn't have a cooldown, basically. So I was spamming it. It has only 40 mana cost, so you can use it very quickly and don't get too much drain of mana in late game. So it's really fun. And again, it can be very powerful. Again, talking about those areas here where you no enemies will be coming. Like if you put the Lonado here and push them back and they still want to go in here, Or even worse, they had to go in here for some reason and they get pushed back from here because they want to walk like this. The cooldown is basically non-existent. It's really fun to play with it, and if you can hit a couple of heroes, you just have infinite protection as well around you. Perfect gems. I think this is probably broken as fuck. It reduces all cooldowns on the gems by 25 seconds, so they only have a 5-second cooldown. And also reduces the cooldown of the cube by 5 seconds. That gives it a 9-second cooldown. So together with Fortitude of the Faithful, basically both of these abilities, like the gems and the cube, don't have a lot of cooldown if you can stay with your allies. This means that you can spam these quite frequently. And especially like Emerald, with the healing reduction against high heal heroes like Lucio, I think this can be very strong late game because you deny so much healing by just spamming your W. Again, it also costs 40 mana, so while you late game don't suffer so much from that, it doesn't drain you as much. You definitely have to be careful after setting up your flasks, your potions. You can try to spam it as much as possible. But yeah, I think all of the level 20 talents are super fun. They give you different things. I think Stay a While, with respect, the Elders can be like game changing, obviously. If you hit a good Stay a While on 3 to 4 people, and your team can kill one person, it's very strong. And then once the other 4 come out, they again for 2 seconds don't do any damage to your team. So it definitely gives you a lot of potential to do a game-winning thing. So yeah, we're doing pretty well in this game. Let's have a quick look at the stats. I'm at 57,000 healing. Not huge in 17 minutes. I definitely think that I didn't play super well in this game. And I didn't set up the heals as much as I should be doing it. This is actually the perfect timing because like I remember this very well. Like this is exactly what you should be doing. So we're fighting when I fight around this altar, and I put potions down where I think my allies will be when we're fighting around this. Obviously now that it's such late game and the enemy team has been demolished so heavily, it's difficult to use this as a perfect example. But again, this is exactly what you want to do. Put the potions around the objective, and then this will allow you to be safe as well. Miss my W, my E. So this is now really cool. Because of the potions refilling, as you can see here, they're refilling here. I feel very safe for my allies as well because they just have to walk back like this, and they get 2-3 heals off. There you go. This is how it should be looking. Like if we zoom out, like this is pretty much how it should be. Like your melees are gonna attack here into the enemies. So these potions help them walking into. I had one potion in the bush before. This is really good. Your backline is protected by potions here and here, and then there's like one in the middle. So if you have a single altar, you can spread out like 2 or 3 potions in the front to help people escape. And then have 2 potions in the back for your backline. If they get dived on, they get a potion to heal up. And that's it. That's pretty much Deckard Cain for you. We're gonna pause it here. We don't want to necessarily see the core die. So yeah, important to note, you can see my hero damage is a little bit higher than Alex Stresser's. I think the Stresser player wasn't having a good game, so this should be higher on her side, but don't expect Deckard to dash out a lot of damage, I think, unless you go for the damage talents, which I personally wouldn't expect that from any support, to be honest. And then my wave clear is disgustingly low. I'm only topped by the Nova, who I guess really tried to not do any wave clearing this game, which is fine, obviously. But yeah, like these 2 things Deckard can't do very well, but the ceiling should be enough to keep you going. Let's have a quick look at the talents from everybody if you want to see any of the talent builds of the other members of this game. Yeah, I I don't want to say this is my go-to talent build, but I do say like 13 Potion of Revival is probably my go-to, as well as the Rejuvenation Potion on 4. Probably those are set in stone for me pretty much. I think I'm going to take these all the time. And then let's have a quick look again on other talents. I think Scroll of Identify, really good. Field Study, I'm not a big fan. On 4, Shielding, I think is nearly on the same level as Rejuvenation. Ruby has a very low win rate, and everybody thinks it's not worth picking. Maybe it needs a little bit of a buff. Maybe people need to figure out how to use it. I'm not quite sure. On 7, I think all of these are viable. Emerald is good, especially against Alex Strasser in this case. So if you have healers that you can interrupt, like I think for Ancestral you probably don't have the timing because it you could hit it if you're a really good mechanically player. I guess you can guess the Ancestral and use it. But yeah, just 75% healing reduction is huge. So you should play around with this whenever you can. And then Cube Mastery and Kanai's Cube both really strong. I think Kanai's Cube, the reduction in damage dealt, also super strong because you can Alt W and then explode the cube around you, which means that whoever is diving you also gets reduced damage for 4 seconds. And yeah, I guess like if you want to spam your E more, like again, I think if you go for a Field Study, you probably want to go for Cube Mastery here to keep the buff up as much as possible. Both heroics are viable. I personally like Lornado better because it has a shorter cooldown, and I want to say more value because it doesn't get randomly broken by your teammates. 13 Potion of Revival is my go-to for sure, and random groups because it's just on accidental pickups heals everybody still. The other twos are still good. Again, Ancient Blessing just needs a proper setup, otherwise it is useless. Safety numbers, I think you should probably take this only if you are on a 2-lane map or a map where you play 4-man rotation, or at least have 4 men around you quite a bit. Because again, you need to be in a 4-man to get value from this. So in this game, when I was trying it out, I don't think I got a lot of value from this. Stone of Curse definitely goes well with, again, the spell power upgrade on level 1 and the Cube Mastery on level 7. I think this can be powerful, but on the other hand, do you need to do more damage or do more healing? I think healing is then safety numbers, even if you can only get it sometimes. And then Heroic Staff, again, I personally will have to wait and see if this is going to be very good because it seems to be risky to do it. On level 20, everything is viable. You can take whatever you want and have fun with that. That's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I'm going to probably have another video with the Junkrat coming out soon, so keep an eye on that if you are a big Junkrat fan. As always, I see you next time. Have a good one. Bye-bye.